Call the regular meeting of the Paramount City Council to order. Tonight we'll have Pledge of Allegiance led by Youth Commissioner Crystal Anguino, and that was the pledge, sorry, and the invocation by Reverend Grady Jones from New Commandment Baptist Church. All please rise.
Put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray, please. Eternal God, our Father, and making the Creator, again we come for your presence. Thanking you for this another day. Thank you, Father God, for the country we live in. Father God, we pray for this nation, Father, as a whole. There's so much turmoil in our country right now, Father God. It's killings all over the land. Father God, I ask you to intervene. There'll be no peace until you come to the table. We invite you, Father God, to just look at America, Father God, and stop the killings, stop those who harm others, Father, the innocent. As we pray for our city as a whole tonight, Father God, there's a great movement in this city to enhance the beauty of this city, Father, through this council. Father, unify this council, Father, unify us as members of this city, Father God. We understand the work you've already done. Turn to bless this council, do great work for you. That where we go, Father, that somebody recognizes you are from the city of Paramount and the leadership of those who have sought for years to bring the city to where it is. So we thank you for what we're doing, where we come from, and where we're going to go to our new leadership. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Have roll call, please.
Councilmember Guillen. Councilmember Lemons.
Here.
Councilmember Olmos.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer.
Here.
Mayor Hansen.
Here.
Motion to excuse Councilmember Gann.
Second.
Motion by Lemon, second by Hoffmeyer to excuse Councilmember Gann. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemons.
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Hansen.
Yes. And we have some presentations tonight. If council will join me down front, please. Before we start with the presentations, I'd like to thank Crystal from the City's Youth Commission for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Youth Commission began 4 years ago. Its members are high school students who are very involved in our community. They have given voice to the issues facing our teens and have learned much about how the city runs. These young women and men are leaders of tomorrow. Actually, they're leaders today. This is Crystal's second term on the commission. Crystal, would you please join us up here in front for a photo, please? Appreciate it. Would Maria Espinoza please come up? Where? Oh, there. Maria has been on the city's Senior Service Commission for the last 6 years. The commission provides wisdom and insight to the city council and city staff regarding issues important to our older population. Maria has been a vital and positive member of that body. She has now stepped down from her role as commissioner. Tonight, we offer our thanks and appreciation for your dedicated and generous service, and we do have a nice plaque for you here also. You're going to cry. Okay, would Lieutenant Joe Badali and Sergeant Michael Downing please come forward? Thank you. Legal street racing takes place all over our region. One form is called a sideshow, where spectators and drivers occupy an intersection and cars perform dangerous stunts like donuts. One night, this was happening in Paramount at Downey and Rosecrans. When a deputy arrived, onlookers began kicking his vehicle and throwing bottles. The deputy reached safety until backup units arrived. 2 males were eventually arrested that night after they accidentally hit the sheriff's car while trying to leave. Maybe accidentally, huh? The increase of such activities in our community inspired Lieutenant Badali and Sergeant Downing to closely monitor these street racing groups. Sergeant Downing scheduled an enforcement operation when they discovered that a group was making plans the very next weekend to take over the intersection of Downey and Rosecrans again. Deputies immediately converged on the intersection, thereby preventing a hazardous repeat of the previous incident. They issued 28 citations for illegal exhaust modification, which is common on these vehicles. The dedicated work of a team of deputies was responsible for stopping this dangerous sideshow before it got started. Tonight, the lieutenant and sergeant are accepting certificates for those 8 deputies, wherever they may be. Oh, okay. While give them a hand. While suppression efforts are continuing, I want to add that residents are encouraged to get involved also. Please call Lakewood Station at 562-623-3500 if you see a group of cars and individuals starting to occupy an intersection. Thank you guys for what you're doing. We certainly appreciate it. Okay, he's going to take a picture. Okay, would Private Second Class Christopher Gowerly of the U.S. Army please join us? Christopher, there he is. First, I want to mention that we misspelled your name on the agenda sheet tonight, but somebody caught it, and we apologize for that. Private Second Class Growley has been featured on our Boulevard of Heroes that honors men and women of Paramount who serve in the military. We've recognized over 60 individuals this way so far. Christopher had retired from the Army, so we are giving him both his original banner and a small replica version. You get to keep that too. We also have a challenge coin that signifies his connection to Paramount and how he has represented the city so well. Thank you for your service to our country and for making Paramount proud. Please let's give him a big round of applause again. That concludes our public presentations tonight. So thank you, everyone, for making our community strong. City Council public comment updates.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have one from the June 16th City Council meeting. A resident came up, Ms. Cindy Nelson, and expressed concern for traffic safety at the intersection of Somerset Boulevard and Lakewood Boulevard. Her request was a dedicated left turn signal for east and westbound Somerset Boulevard. As a result, the action that staff took, this entire intersection is located within the jurisdiction of the city of Bellflower. As such, we contacted city staff at the city of Bellflower to inform them of the concern that was expressed and the request for the left turn the left turn arrow. Staff contacted Ms. Nelson to inform her of the jurisdictional boundaries and our action. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? None? Okay, public comments?
Yes, sir. We have a few tonight. Our first one is from Mr. Reno Radula, and he has some general comments that he'd like to make. Mr. Radula?
Hello, like this. Good evening to everyone. Paramount residents gathered here today to express great disappointment and saddened by the quick decision by the Paramount politicians to therefore appoint a replacement left vacant by Diane Martinez to the City Council seat. Of all the uproar and the outcry of Paramount residents begging the politicians, as in California Government Code Section 34902, requires the City Council to order and enact direct special election be called immediately to fill the vacancy. Unfortunately, the vital voice of the people of Paramount was not being taken into account, rejected by these very few politicians as opposed to the majority of the residents to openly and democratically exercise their sacred choice and the rights of suffrage. It was being ignored by these few politicians thinking they are for years in power in this amazing city of Paramount. There is not a sort of money or political impact whatsoever to justify the decision being made. It is very crucial for the politician to follow whatever constituents demanded, since the city belonged to the residents and not by the very few politicians. Never. Even if we also base this opinion through the California Fair Political Practices Commission, they might agree to disagree the Paramount politicians' decision for the amount occurred of public harm involved. Now, as a result of these years of managing the city, the biggest problem of all that residents are encountering each day is the deadly cancer-causing chromium 6, which is presently the monitoring data tells the higher numbers of toxin, especially monitor 8 in Minnesota Strait, April 27, 1.32, April 30, 1.52, May 3, 1.53, May 6, 2.19 is higher, May 15, 1.30, May 24, 2.49, which is the highest. The city should keep track to those who died also from cancer to document for future health complaints done by these polluters. If these city politicians can never solve this deadly toxic pollution problem blanketing our city, then who will? Are we just waiting for sooner and later to contract these deadly cancer illnesses? I thank you. Good night.
We have, next one is from Mr. Jose De Leon. He actually has two speaker cards. One is general and one is air filters. Mr. De Leon?
This one's with Alphonse.
Yeah, but we do have one from him as well. So we have two from you.
Good afternoon, City Council members, public. I just got in and right away I smell the favorite Paramount smell, metal. I'm so happy that finally a good group of residents We're delivering some air purification system to what I call Chernobyl area, or the red zone, which is Minnesota, close to the factories that they've been working without control. I'm so happy that finally we were able to deliver to that people, because they are the most affected. And I hope, like another group or organization jumps in, because some of the residents, even they were kind of disappointed about the price on the filters. And I remember Ms. Gillen, she's not here today, she tried to convince you guys to ask for a grant to buy some filtration system for the people who is really close to those areas. But we know that didn't happen, and it's not gonna happen. But like I say, I'm glad a good group of people, residents, and I am part of that. I couldn't go to deliver them, but at least I was working for like 2 years. And I feel happy. Small things that we've been doing take some sacrifice, time, family, but we have to do it if we care about our city. And I hope the next election, more people get involved. I consider myself part of the new politicians, not the old status quo, what we call la vieja política. I consider myself la nueva política. Give it to the people what they deserve. And I hope I can get elected and try to be as much as I can in transparency, something that you guys had failed to ask. And I'm glad that more people is getting involved. And we'll see you. We feel disappointed with the what they call Partido Revolucionario Institucional of Mexico did in the past. You guys did the same thing, just appoint someone. It's not fair in a democrat system. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Our next speaker is Mr. Alejandro Yanes, wants to discuss recreational sports. Mr. Yanes?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Nice to see you, Brenda. Can I still call you Brenda or Miss Almost? What do you prefer?
Call me Brenda.
Nice to see you up there.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, staff as well. It's nothing new what I talk about. It's actually kind of sort of what I've been told. I'm beating a dead horse, right? But I can't help but keep bringing it up because the lack of, I have a Paramount city budget here, something that, was handed out at the last budget meeting. And in doing that, I went over this budget and I couldn't help but go over it and see the lack of expenditure for adult recreational sports. Our population is 54,000 in the city of Paramount. 39,000 of those residents are between the ages of 18 and 60, and not 1 cent has been spent on adult recreational sport. And not just the last year, in the last 10 to 15 years, we haven't had one adult recreational sport. Unfortunately, Mr. Johnson's not here to defend himself, but this Saturday we're going to have a futsal tournament that's going to be created. It's the second annual futsal tournament that are going to be representing the ages of 18 and over. Thank God that's finally happening. We have one, but I'd hate to see 39,000 adults try to compete in a futsal recreational sport. Therefore, that's why I keep pushing for our idea to reopen our recreational handball courts. Handball courts and handball in general is more than just a recreational sport in our city. Like I've said in other meetings before, it's a place where a lot of residents who predominantly just speak Spanish go to find out what is happening in the city. I, for one, am kind of those people that go back from these meetings and I let those people know what happens and how is it that we got a new council member and why is it that happened. Recreational sports in Paramount, there's not one commissioner that's appointed by any one of these council members, nor any other staff member in this city. And I'm not picking on you people. I'm just telling you the facts. Facts are there that there's not one adult recreational that anybody in the city participates in. And I'll tell you why, because we don't have any. And we haven't had any in 10 to 15 years. And that's a lot of my frustration and why I come here meeting after meeting to keep bringing this up so that the council members and the people that we elected get attention to this issue. It's more than just recreation. Air filters and air quality, that is not your responsibility. That's AQMD. AQMD is a government-regulated entity. It's their job to go after air quality. It's your job to provide recreational opportunities for us, the residents. That's your job. That's what we elected you for. That's what I come up here and I defend the staff members. I defend all of you. I think you guys are all doing a great job. But at the same time, I need you to step it up and build our handball courts because we have nothing left to do in this city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Robert and Ms. Star Mack from Rancho Dorado, and they'd like to discuss ivy on a block wall and a trash receptacle.
Everyone.
Hello.
I have a concern about the ivy on the block wall. We live right next to the 105 and our backyard sits on Downey, so we live right across from the Lifegate Church. And the ivy is bringing in, I come out into my garage and there's field mice in my garage or in my backyard. The other day there were 2 raccoons, and of course some of them come from the freeway, but the mice, I believe the ivy is bringing in. And it disappoints me that on this end, where the homes with the block wall on Somerset, it's always neat and trimmed. On our end, it's falling on the ground, it's not trimmed, it's not kept. It's like we're not a part of Paramount. We pay our taxes as well as everyone else, but that end, they don't come and pick up trash. It's always trash. We've been to a meeting before and asked could there be a receptacle so the kids that's going to school can put the trash in the trash can. I mean, my neighbors have complained, but yet nothing's done. But it seems to me that on this end, near the city hall and downtown, is well maintained. And also, I want to know if there's any way that that ivy can be taken down. And I know on some of the walls in Paramount, there's like, I guess, some type of paper that looks like brick that's on walls. If we could have that taken down and perhaps have the brick paper or whatever it is put up.
Can we look into that?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay.
We will definitely look back into that and report back to the council.
Thank you. I feel for you because I'm constantly picking up trash from my yard too all the time, and I live on a corner, so I get it constantly.
Okay.
And you might just want to, Adriana, if you could raise your hand so they'll see who they'll be talking to. She's in charge of Public Works, and so she can discuss what the issue is because it's something that's totally fixable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a problem once before with a tow truck coming out of the neighborhood parking, and Vice Mayor Durrell, you came around and you handled the problem very quickly. And I just want to thank you very much for your services that you did for me and my family some 5 or 6 years ago. And we were awarded a nice reward from the city of most beautiful home in the neighborhood. And I like to keep my property well maintained. With you guys' help with that trash receptacle on the backside of Downey, we stay right on the corner of Downey and Golden, right across from Lifegate Church, okay? And we like to keep it beautified as much as possible. So if we can get your help, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And our last speaker is Mr. Rodolfo Cortez, wants to talk about air quality and pollution.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So yeah, I want to talk about air quality and pollution. Before I do that, I just want to note that today is the 74th anniversary of a major event in world history when President Truman decided to drop a bomb on Hiroshima, instantly killing between 90,000 to 146,000 people. So we may ask, why did President Truman do that? Well, the traditional answer is he didn't want to invade, Japan. There would be other lives lost there. But there's another answer, and it's really relevant to what's happening today in Paramount. The answer is that there were private companies that wanted to demonstrate this weapon. Why? Because they wanted the Pentagon to keep buying it. President Eisenhower, over a decade later, described this very articulately in his farewell address. He called it the military-industrial complex, and he cautioned us, the citizens, against allowing government and military-industrial interests to merge. Well, here today, unfortunately, the military-industrial complex has clearly succeeded in what they set out to do, which is to essentially fund and support council members here and around the United States. And that's devastating in the same way, but perhaps less notably so, than what happened in Hiroshima. At the AQMD meeting that happened a year ago, they demonstrated this huge map of Paramount, and community members were saying it looks like a nuclear bomb went off. And of course, the deaths are not to the same level. They're not happening as fast, but guess what's happening? A lot of members of the Paramount community and surrounding communities, pollution travels, are dying of these cancers. And they're dying because of the industrial process results in these pollutants. So with all respects to the gentleman, there are cities that have taken steps, like the proper city of Los Angeles, to step in where the AQMD has failed. So it is totally possible for governmental officials to say no to these extremely powerful corporations that are harming everyone, including the council members. So I hope that keep the election in March in mind as you go about your business, because the people are ready to stay healthy.
Okay, thanks. Any further?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah.
May I just make 2 quick comments before we go on? I'm sorry, my mic's on. Because air filters were brought up, I just want to remind the public, being as we're being broadcast, that there is a rebate program for air filters by the city. So if anybody feels the need for one, the city does reimburse you. Is it 100% up to?
It's $100, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Harp. Yeah, $100 up to $100.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to remind people that's available. And then, Mr. Yanez, to thank you for your comments, and just to let you know that we have 2 grants pending to deal with adult recreation. And we appreciate that you brought to our attention some time ago that this was something lacking in the community, and hopefully it's something that in the near future we're going to have the money to do. So I just wanted you to be aware that there are 2 grant applications that we've applied for funding for some adult recreation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Consent calendar. First off, I would like to remove on the minutes, the approval of the minutes of the July 16th meeting, being that I was not here for that meeting. Unless watching it, could that suffice?
What we need to do, Mr. Mayor, is that also Councilmember almost wasn't here for the July 2nd, so you need to take each of those minutes separately.
Each one separately?
Yes, please.
Okay. So we'll go on the July 2nd one first then.
Yes.
Move it.
Second.
And moved by Lemon, seconded by Hoffmeyer to approve the minutes of the July 2nd meeting. We have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemons?
Yes.
Councilmember Omos?
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Okay, now we'll go to the minutes for July 16th of
Move
this
it.
year.
Second.
Been moved by Lemon, seconded by Hoffmeyer to approve those minutes. We have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemons?
Yes.
Councilmember Omos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Abstain. And the other 2 items?
Move them.
Second.
Okay, those two items been moved and seconded. Moved by Lemon, second by Hoffmeyer. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item 7, we need to make an appointment to the Senior Services Commission.
Yes, sir.
You want to make a report, or do you want me to make a report?
It's your choice, Mr. Mayor.
Well, we have
If
to.
you'd like, we can handle it.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Okay, very good.
We need to make an appointment to the Senior Service Commission, as there is a vacancy there. And to fill that vacant term, which will expire April 2020, we're going to appoint Alicia Anderson, who is in the audience tonight. If you'd like to stand. And thank you for your volunteering. We appreciate that. Item 8, resolution number 19.030, approving city council permit for Fernando Gonzalez Zoinga for a mobile food vendor at 13840 Paramount Boulevard. We have staff report, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We don't get many of these. It's a request for a permit for a food truck, or a lunch wagon, as they're known to be called. The code does require the city council to approve permits for specific categories of food trucks. This does not include the mobile pushcart vendors who sell food. As we heard a few months ago, those are governed very differently. So with that, I'll turn it over to our planning director, Mr. John Carver, who will tell us about this application. John?
Thank you, John. Mr. Mayor, council members, I have a quick presentation to go through. As John mentioned, this is a request for a city council permit to allow the operation, to allow the operation of a mobile food vendor. And the food vendor is based out of Standard Catering, and the applicant has one catering truck. Food trucks are allowed on private property with a city council permit. And as John mentioned, these are different from sidewalk vendor carts, which cities have only minimal ability to regulate, and were prohibited from requiring a discretionary permit for the sidewalk vendors. Here's a look at the applicant's truck and the site where the applicant will be offering services at 13840 Paramount Boulevard. So a catering truck is allowed to service a business 2 times between midnight and noon, and then 2 times between noon and midnight. A catering truck may remain at one location for a period of 2 hours during each 12-hour period. Written approval must be given by the business owner to allow the food truck on site, and on your dais you have written approval from the business owner for this applicant. And the applicant has also received approval from the health department. And we're recommending that you adopt resolution 19030, approving city council permit for a mobile food vendor at 13840 Paramount Boulevard, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
So does this open it up to other vendors as well that wants to do something like this? Because this is going to be the first one, correct?
No, we have many that are stationed out of standard catering.
Mobile trucks.
Food trucks, right.
uh-huh.
Yes, right. So we have the process in place to grant a council permit
Got it.
for these, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Further questions?
Move the item.
Second.
Been moved by Lemon, seconded by Hoffmeyer to approve resolution number 19.030. Have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item number 9, resolution number 19.031, an application submittals to the California Natural Resources Agency Urban Greening Program. Have staff report, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we're trying to be as aggressive as possible at finding grant funds for projects. Another funding opportunity popped up for us. This one's from the California Natural Resources Agency, and we'll be applying to do one of 4 phases of the bike trail project that runs along the railroad right away through town. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Public Works Director, Ms. Adriana Figueroa. Adriana?
Thank you, John. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, as indicated, the item before you tonight is a resolution approving our application submittal for grant funding through the California Natural Resources Agency Urban Greening Program. Phase 4 of our West Santa Ana Branch Bike Trail is eligible for funding under this program. The estimated cost for design and construction of this phase is $3.9 million. As you may recall, the City Council approved a resolution back in June of this year that authorized the submittal of another grant application for phases 3 and 4 of this project. However, that funding source was through the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy, which is different from this application. If we were to receive both grants, we would have sufficient funding to complete this segment of the project. As part of the application process, the California Natural Resources Agency requires a resolution certifying the approval of the application to the state of California. So with that, it is recommended that the City Council read by title only and adopt Resolution number 19.031, which authorizes our grant application submittal. And that concludes my report, but I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, questions?
Move the item.
Second.
Second, or moved by Hoffmeyer, second by Almost, read by title only, adopt resolution number 19.031. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item number 10, approval of shared cost agreement with Paramount Unified School District for school resource officer. We have a staff report, please.
Yes, sir. As you know, we share the cost of a school deputy with the Paramount Unified School District. They do have two, and we pay for half of one. This is an agreement that we've taken before you for several years, and here is Adriana Lopez, our Public Safety Director, to tell you more about it. Adriana?
Okay.
Yes, thank you, John. Good evening, Mayor, council members. As John mentioned, this is an item that comes before you every year. And in fiscal year 2013, the Paramount Unified School District added a second school resource officer. At that time, the city of Paramount entered into an agreement with PUSD to reimburse them for half the cost of the second school resource deputy. Both the city and PUSD believe that the presence of the school resource officers help to promote a safe school environment. And although both officers are primarily at the high school, they do respond to the junior high and elementary campuses when needed. Included in this fiscal year's budget is $100,000 to cover the cost of this item. It is recommended that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Paramount Unified School District. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions?
Move the item.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve and authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Paramount Unified School District. Motion by Lemmons and second by Hoffmeyer. Have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item number 11, street modifications on Orizaba Avenue by Lincoln Elementary School located between Adams Street and Jefferson Street. We have a staff report, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, the school district has adopted a traffic management plan for many of their campuses. This is to aim to address safety for school children, in particular the drop-off and pickup zones around the campuses. One such school that they are looking at and they need our help with is Lincoln School. So they developed, once again, a traffic plan for this. This was reviewed with the ad hoc committee, and we're about to do the work, and so we wanted to inform you about the improvement plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Public Works Director, Adriana Figueroa, who will handle the item. Adriana?
Thank you, John. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, as indicated, the city received a request from the Paramount Unified School District for street modifications on Orizaba Avenue by Lincoln Elementary School located between Adams Street and Jefferson Street. The school district has been working with a consultant to evaluate traffic conditions around several schools to enhance the safety for school children. A traffic improvement plan was prepared and approved by the school district that requires modifications to crosswalks and establishes a drop-off zone for students on the west side of Orizaba Avenue. The top picture indicates the current street conditions, and the picture underneath that depicts the proposed modifications. As you can see, this is on Orizaba Avenue. To the left of your screen would be Jefferson Street, and to the right is Adams. The proposed drop-off zone is located on the west side of the street and would remove about 12 parking spaces to allow for this drop-off lane. The curb will be painted red to prevent parked vehicles from blocking the intended drop-off only zone. In terms of crosswalk modifications, again, the top picture indicates the current conditions, and the one underneath that outlines the proposed change. This intersection is Adams Street and Orizaba Avenue. The crosswalk will essentially be moved from the south side of the street to the north side. This requires modifications to existing ADA ramps in order to comply with the ADA requirements. On Tuesday, July 30th, the school district conducted a neighborhood meeting to inform residents of these needed street modifications. There were no objections from the neighbors who were in attendance. The school district is requesting that these improvements be completed prior to August 20th, as the 21st will be the start of their new school year, and they have agreed to pay the entire cost of the construction work, which is estimated at $55,000. This basically concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? None?
Move the item.
Second.
Moved by Hoffmeyer, second by Almost, to receive and file this report. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item number 12, Public Safety Community Emergency Response Team Program. Yep, staff report, please.
Yes, sir. As you know, we're always trying to improve our emergency preparedness. As city employees, we are required by law to respond in case there is a local emergency, such as an earthquake or any flooding. However, a big part of that is to also get community members prepared for this. This is done in several ways, and one such way is through a CERT team. And we're about to find out what exactly a CERT team is. We did have a CERT program for some time, but it went dormant, and we're now revitalizing it. Excuse me. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Public Safety Director, Ms. Adriana Lopez, who will handle the item. Adriana?
Yes, thank you, John. Once again, good evening, Mayor and council members. This evening, I will be discussing our past efforts and future efforts regarding the CERT program. I will first start by explaining what exactly is CERT. It's the Community Emergency Response Team program, which educates volunteers about disaster preparedness for natural and man-made disasters that may affect their community. The program provides a uniform approach to disaster preparedness and also organization that first responders can depend on during a disaster. What is the purpose of CERT? It is to enrich Paramount residents to be self-sufficient for up to 3 days during an emergency. By being self-sufficient, residents will allow emergency personnel to attend to the recovery efforts. The history of CERT is that in 1985, the Los Angeles City Fire Department developed CERT in response to an area-wide threat of a disaster. So nowadays, CERT programs exist in all 50 states, including U.S. territories, with an estimated of 2,700 CERT programs and over 600,000 trained volunteers. As John mentioned, we did have a CERT program from 2012 to 2016, and we worked with the Los Angeles Fire Department to host free CERT training in Paramount, and during that time, 71 people were certified. The public safety served as a liaison between the county, but we did not have our own active CERT program. So we are currently trying to revitalize our CERT program, and so what we've done is our staff has attended a CERT conference that was held in San Diego. We've also completed training through FEMA, and in order to do that, we're going to be, or since we've already done that, we're going to be able to provide the 20 hours of CERT training to our Paramount residents on emergency preparedness or disaster preparedness. What we're anticipating that these trainings will occur in the summer and the spring, and I'm happy to report that our first training is scheduled for August 23rd through August 25th. Part of the revitalization of our program is that we will team up with Downey CERT to provide training in the following areas: general disaster preparedness, fire suppression, medical operation, damage assessment, light search and rescue, team organization, and disaster psychology and in addition to going through trainings in regards to a disaster. By doing this, Paramount residents wishing to become certified CERT members must complete the following. As I mentioned, the 20 hours of CERT training, the FEMA online training. They also have to successfully pass a background and have liability coverage. They have to complete 16 hours of volunteer. This will be on an annual basis, and also maintain a good moral character with values and ethics. Some of these things might seem a little bit maybe intimidating to some of our residents when we talk about FEMA training, but staff will be there to assist them in all these areas. Okay, the program will also make sure that our certified, if residents want to become certified CERT trainings, that they have the following requirements: a CERT vest, a helmet, as well as a disaster preparedness backpack. In conclusion, Paramount residents will learn how to take care of themselves and their families, as well as assist community members. And the Paramount program will enrich our residents to be self-sufficient, which will allow, once again, our emergency personnel to attend to recovery efforts. That concludes my presentation, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? I have one, actually. We're having this class the end of this month, 23rd, you said. Do we have people signed up for that already?
No, we don't, but we're going to start advertising it. You're going to see the street banner go up, as well as our social media outlets will start advertising.
Okay, fine. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm just curious, Adriana, have you seen in other cities, kind of like in lieu, this is a great program, I think of in lieu what's happening right now, any type of active shooter trainings that are happening for residents or employees? Or
we, as employees, have had active shooter training. I'm not really sure if they're offering it to other cities, but that's usually through the sheriff's department. It wouldn't really be through the fire department, but I want to say that the sheriff's department, they do have an academy for residents, and that would be one of the segments that they offer. Is that correct, Lieutenant? Yes, he says it's correct.
Further questions? None?
And we could do some advertising for that if that's like that. That's no problem. We can advertise for the academy that the sheriff's department holds. So.
Yes, we are working on that. I should have some dates available for you, John.
Okay, good.
Make motion to receive and file this report.
Moved by Hoffmeyer, second by Lemons to receive and file this report. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item 13, formation of a sales tax increase focus group. Staff report, please.
Yes, sir. We are going to give that side of the room a break here, and I'll handle this item. All righty. So as Mr. Mayor mentioned, this is in regards to formation of a sales tax increase focus group. As presented at this year's budget sessions, we're now in a structural budget deficit. We got here by seeing expenditures that are frankly beyond our control. They're rising above the amount of revenue that we take in. So one of the solutions that the City Council could consider in the near future here, without having to make drastic cuts, would be to increase revenue. One such source of revenue is sales tax. To study this further, staff is planning to form a focus group made up of different members of the community, and this group will provide input on the potential for a sales tax increase. As mentioned, the city has reached a financial crossroads, and urgent action is needed at this time to maintain the local service levels, particularly in public safety, which has our largest contract, and that is with the Sheriff's Department. The City Council passed a budget in June. It's a balanced budget. However, the budget was balanced using reserve funds. The deficit for this current fiscal year is $342,450, and once again, that was balanced using reserve funds. By fiscal year, however, fiscal year 2025, however, this deficit is projected to be closer to $3 million. Paramount has always delivered not only basic municipal services, but we've delivered them to residents and businesses at the highest level of quality. We've been known for that. When the Great Recession hit, we had to implement some pretty extreme drastic cost-saving measures. But still, the quality of our services barely dipped, if at all. However, our long-range financial forecast is causing us some great concern, and we need to act soon by examining the possibility of a sales tax increase. So let's look a little bit about our sales tax. So it's the city's single largest revenue source, representing 30% of the general fund. The general fund, by the way, funds 93% of the public safety budget, with the other 7% coming from grants. Our sales tax is at the county base rate right now, which is at 9.5%. And the maximum amount that a sales tax can be raised is 3/4 cents, which would take it up to 10.25%. So what does that extra 3/4 cents mean to a resident? Well, on $10,000 of annual purchases, it would mean an additional $6 per month. And it should be noted that things like rent, groceries, baby food, and prescriptions are not subject to sales tax. Over the years, voters in many cities around us have already decided to increase their sales tax to the maximum amount of 10.25%. And some of them even had legislation passed at the state level to increase it another 1/4%. As we can see there, the city of Santa Fe Springs. But what's to notice here is our neighbors to the north, west, and south, that is Downey, Southgate, Linwood, Compton, and Long Beach, are already at a higher sales tax rate than us. What this means is that if Paramount residents go to those cities to shop or to dine in, they're already paying a higher sales tax. We've also heard that some of these other cities that are like us at the 9.5% rate are also considering placing a sales tax increase measure on a future ballot. Now, one of the more defining reasons for why the City Council should consider placing a sales tax measure on the ballot is the potential loss of funds to a pool that serves the entire county or another regional government's jurisdiction. It's very possible that these other agents that you see listed here could raise the sales tax in Paramount and other cities that are at the minimum to the maximum. This would then send this extra money to these agencies' pool and would eliminate the ability for us to keep the funds at the local level. This was actually done by the county in 2017 with Measure H for the homeless programs and by the MTA in 2016 for transit programs. Now, what would be the loss for us if this were to happen? Well, it's anticipated that the 0.75% increase in the sales tax would generate $3 to $4 million per year. So that money would then be taken out of our community and placed in one of these larger government pools. We've already done some preliminary polling of voters. This was done in May, and the results were presented to the City Council in June. The results showed that 77% of Paramount voters would support a sales tax measure if it were on the ballot today. And 73% of the voters surveyed perceived at least some need for additional funding for the city. Although these numbers are, according to the pollster, some of the highest that they've ever seen, staff finds that it would still be beneficial to gather a focus group for more specific feedback about sales tax from the community. So we are proposing to put together a sales tax increase focus group who will meet on an ad hoc basis. The goal of the group would be to provide feedback to the council and to staff on a potential sales tax measure. They will accomplish this goal through a number of objectives, including reviewing our financial condition and our cost reduction measures. We'll also teach them about and evaluate existing city revenue sources. They'll also learn about sales tax realities and options that are here in LA County. And they'll analyze the results of the public opinion poll. Now, our plan is to compose a group of 15 community members, and here they are, 5 city commissioners, mainly the chair or whoever would be appointed by the chair, and that group would represent the residential part of the community, 2 chamber members from the Chamber of Commerce, and this would represent the business part of the community, 5 service club members, and this would represent the volunteer portion of our community. And finally, 3 faith-based members from the clergy area. These members truly represent an inclusive cross-segment of our population. They're key stakeholders. They have a high level of civic engagement already. So having that basic knowledge about city service levels, they'll be able to provide us, we feel, with some constructive and informative feedback that we can bring back to the council. And lastly, most of them will already know our city's history and the challenges that we've actually faced. So here is the proposed schedule. Once we present it tonight, we will be sending out invitation letters to the members that I just mentioned, and our first group meeting will be on September the 5th. Our second one would be on September 19th. And then we would then go to the city council and present to you the findings of the focus group at the public meeting. That would be on October 1st. It is anticipated that we will then bring to the city council for consideration on November 5th an item to put the sales tax increase measure on the ballot. And then with that, the potential sales tax increase would be part of the March 3rd, 2020 election. And with that, it is recommended that the city council receive and file the report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, I have one, please.
Okay.
Yeah, John, what is the outlook like for AQMD? Are they going to jump in and try and get this done at the same time, or are they staying back for a
They
while?
need to pass legislation first in Sacramento that will allow them to charge sales tax in their 5 county areas. So
Metro?
it's likely they will not be able to get it by the March 5th ballot. Metro, we're hearing rumblings that they will. It's LA County, though, however, that we are hearing rumblings about a sales tax measure, probably an increase for the Measure H funding. But definitely AQMD is pushing on the legislation. So if they don't get it in by the March election, is anticipated by many that it would be on the November election of 2020.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Move, receive, and file.
Second. Go ahead.
Gotcha.
I got it.
I heard you.
You got it.
It's been moved by Lemon, second by Almost, to receive and file this report. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Item 14. Due to the resignation or retirement of Councilmember Martinez, has left us with some vacancies on some different boards that we have to appoint people to. So tonight, I would like to make these appointments that, there are some for representative, some for alternates that we routinely do at the beginning of the year. So I'm only going to go into the vacancies that Councilmember Martinez was on. California Contract Cities Association, new representative will be Almost. California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, the alternate will be Lemons. Gateway Cities COG Board of Directors, representative will be Almost. Gateway Cities COG SR 91, I-605, I-405 Quarter Cities Committee, alternate will be myself. League of California Cities, Los Angeles County, representative will be Gillen. Paramount Unified School District Liaison, the Ad Hoc Committee, representative will be Almost, and the Sister City Committee, representative will also be Almost. Those are with the approval of the rest of the council. Right? I make that motion? I just did.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Motion by myself, second by Lemons to approve these appointments. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Comments or committee reports from council members?
I have a comment, if I
Okay.
may. What I wanted to say is some comments were made that I would just like to address. One being that the air quality issues were not our responsibility. Although we do not have as much authority as we would like over them, I would like to say that I think every member of this body considers air quality our responsibility. Anything that affects the quality of life of our residents is our responsibility. Secondly, I would like to say that another comment was made that, we should be more proactive in what we do, something similar to the County of Los Angeles. So I would just like to list a few things that are not a requirement of the AQMD or any other organization that the city did to be proactive, as I'm sure our residents would want us to be, which is why I think that we've had so much success so quickly in the city. So immediately we implemented a moratorium on all metal companies in the city of Paramount. We immediately convened an AQMD subcommittee that was made up of our residents and council members to review the city's industrial code. We purchased air monitors to aid the AQMD in the research that they were doing in the city of Paramount. We gave them personnel. We gave them facilities so that what would have taken them 1 to 2 years to do to investigate all of the possible places where hex chrome could be coming from was done instead in a matter of months. We put up a city's environmental website for the residents so that they could go there to get specifics on air quality and regular updates. We rewrote the city's industrial code to address immediate issues as well as long-term issues. And we're currently working with the AQMD on a brand new program which has to do with them monitoring the renewal of AQMD certificates, and we coordinate with them, which they've never done with any other city, with the business license renewal. I believe that we've done as much as we can at this point, but we're always looking for avenues to improve what we do. Those were all proactive moves. Those were things going outside the box and reaching out and going above and beyond, because the residents in this city do deserve the best. So I just wanted to bring them to your attention to say we don't wait to receive orders from the AQMD or any other organization. We reach out in every way possible to solve those issues, and those were just a few examples. I believe that's why we were recognized by the AQMD, by the county, and by the states for the effort that our staff put forward, and that the public officials up here upheld the suggestions that they made. So I just want the residents to know we will continually look for ways to address these issues in the best way possible. I think we put a lot of things in place that are going to help us in the future. So just wanted to make you aware. Thank you.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. Any comments?
Yeah, I don't have any comments, except I was back at the fair the first Friday night getting my usual kettle corn, and had a great turnout again. And Saturday morning I was at the opening of All American Parks basketball court, and we had a fairly good turnout, so things are looking good in Paramount.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have something to say. I actually attended the Los Angeles County Division League of California Cities last week, where 2 of our neighboring cities' mayors, which was Juan Garza and Blanca Pacheco, were named as president and vice president. And I have to say, I spoke with a lot of council members, and they all had such good things to say about Paramount. I felt really proud to be there representing Paramount. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I heard that there's West Nile virus in Bellflower.
I'm going to make a report on that.
Go ahead. Just checking.
Kind of my thing,
Done.
yes.
I'm done.
Yes, I also attended the rededication of the All-American Park and the basketball courts there. Kudos to the staff and Public Works that put that whole thing together. They did an outstanding job, so you guys are to be congratulated, and we appreciate it. I think the residents all appreciate that, too. On the West Nile virus thing, there was a press release that we have copies back in the back somewhere for anyone who wishes to have one, that just came out. I believe it was Friday, and there was a positive West Nile virus mosquito was trapped in Bellflower, and one in Long Beach also. So it's starting to get a little active. Actually, we have our meeting this Thursday in Santa Fe Springs, the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control Board. And there's some things in that report that tell you how to contend with the mosquitoes, so on and so forth. And if anyone has problems with mosquitoes, they're urged to call the Greater Los Angeles County Vector Control Board, as Councilmember Lemons has done a few times, I do believe, and found out that they can breed in as little as a bottle cap of water. That's all it takes. And so they have a lot of suggestions, so on and so forth, to help deal with the mosquitoes, because now as it's starting to get warmer, that's where they start getting more and more active. And the Asian tiger mosquito is one that is pretty aggressive, and instead of just biting in the early morning or late afternoon, early evening, this one goes after you all day long. So if you see any of those, you definitely need to report that. That I have nothing else, and we're going to recess this meeting to go into
Yes,
closed
Mr. Mayor,
session.
you'll recess the city council meeting and convene the successor agency.
Okay.
But before you recess, we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a closed session.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah, we have a closed session.
Mr. Mayor, I do have comments from staff.
Oh,
That's
I'm
okay.
skipping you guys.
That's
Sorry.
all right. That's all right. No worries.
I got all excited about the mosquitoes.
Yes, you did. That's quite all right. Wendy and Jonathan, if you can hand out the press release, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. I just wanted to give you an update on one of the big topics was air quality tonight. I didn't expect that. However, I did want to follow up with something that came up at the City Council in May, and that was when the full City Council expressed concern about some spikes that we saw in emissions that were coming from some of the air monitors that are out there. As you recall, we talked to AQMD about this, and the spikes they tell us, were mostly around Aerocraft, which is on Minnesota. The spikes were primarily due to the long period of construction at Aerocraft related to the installation of their new filtration system. The good news is that since May, when construction ended, that sampler near Aerocraft has not gone above 1 nanogram. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that things are heading in the right direction now. But we'll continue to watch it weekly. That was my pledge to you to the City Council, and communicate with AQMD as necessary. In addition to the sampler near Aerocraft, we also did a more in-depth look at the sampler in front of Lincoln School, specific to hexavalent chromium pollution. This sampler has had some of the consistently lowest hexavalent chromium levels in the sampling by AQMD. Since February 2017, when that location started to be sampled, the average sample has been at 0.33 nanograms. More closely, for the period of January 1st through July 23rd of this current year, the average has been at 0.21 nanograms per cubic meter. Although there was one spike of 1 nanogram during that same time period, and that took place in May, we're happy to see that overall things look better in front of the school. So hexavalent chromium sampling will continue to take place at Lincoln School, from what we hear by the AQMD, every 6 days. So we'll continue to closely monitor the results from that sampler as well. So with that, that's my end of my comments, and happy to answer questions.
Okay. Then we will go into closed session in a little bit, so we're going to recess this meeting. But what I would like to say before we actually recess this, because it seems like most of the time people leave before we come out of closed session, in that when it comes time to adjourn this meeting, we're going to adjourn in memory of Frances Meese, who passed away recently. Longtime resident, I go back to the 40s, I would assume. And her husband was on the city council way back in the days of the 70s, I believe it was, Johnny Meese. So we will be adjourning in her memory when we come back to that point. So we'll recess this meeting at this point, and we'll call to order the successor agency for the redevelopment agency. We have a roll call of council members, please.
Councilmember Gian, Councilmember Lemons.
Here.
Councilmember Olmos.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer.
Here.
Mayor Hansen.
Here.
Motion to excuse Gian.
Second.
Moved in second into excuse Councilmember Gian from this meeting. We have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes. Public comments? Consent calendar.
Second.
Moved by Lemons, second by Hoffmeyer to approve this consent calendar. Have roll call, please.
Councilmember Lemmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Olmos?
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Hansen?
Yes, this meeting was adjourned then to September 3rd, 2019 at 6 p.m. I will call to order the Paramount Industrial Development Authority. We have a roll call, please.
Director Gian? Director Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Director Lemmons?
Here.
Director Olmos?
Here.
Vice Chair Hansen?
Here.
Motion to excuse.
Public comments?
No, sir.
Sorry.
Motion to excuse.
Councilmember Gian.
Second.
Moved by Lemon, second by Almost to excuse Councilmember Ginn. We have roll call, please.
Director Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Director Lemmons?
Yes.
Director Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hansen?
Yes. Approval of the minutes of April 2, 2019.
Second.
Moved by Hoffmeyer, second by Lemons to approve those minutes. We have roll call, please.
Director Hoffmeyer?
Here.
Director Lemmons?
Yes.
Director Olmos?
Abstain.
Vice Chair Hansen?
Yes. Item 2, reorganization, selection of a chair and vice chair possibly. It's up to our city clerk at this point.
Nominations are open for chair. Are there any nominations?
I'm at almost.
Please indicate your selection for chair. Hansen?
Almost.
Hoffmeyer?
Almost.
Lemons?
Almost.
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 Congratulations, Chair Olmos.
So that's all we need to do there, correct? Okay, well, it's your meeting now. What am I doing? You can adjourn it.
Are you on the last one?
No. Adjourn this meeting that we just
Vice
did.
Chair.
Yeah, but I was like, what?
You are we don't have to, right? We already have vice chair.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that.
Oh, yeah, it was just for Diane's vacancy.
Right.
Got it.
But there's now that, yeah, so you need to adjourn that
So
meeting
we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting till
whenever.
whenever.
Now, we'll call to order the Paramount Parking Authority. We have a roll call of members, please, or directors.
Director Gian? Director Hoffmeyer?
Here.
Director Lemmons?
Here.
Director Olmos?
Here.
Vice Chair Hansen?
Here. Public comments?
Yes, sir.
Approval of the minutes of April 2, 2019.
Move them.
Second.
Moved by Hoffmeyer, seconded by Lemons to approve those minutes. We have roll call, please.
Director Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Director Lemmons?
Yes.
Director Olmos?
Abstain.
Vice Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Wait.
before we move on, may I make a motion to excuse Councilmember Gian?
I'll second.
Oh, we didn't get that done? I'm sorry.
I wasn't quick
I don't
enough.
We weren't quick enough. Okay, it's been moved by Lemon, second by Hoffmeyer to excuse Councilmember Gian. We have roll call on that one, please.
Director Hoffmeyer?
Yes.
Director Lemmons?
Yes.
Director Olmos?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hansen?
Yes. Okay, item number 2, reorganization, selection of a chair.
Nominations are open for chair. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate Almost.
Second.
Okay, please indicate your choice for chair. Hansen?
Almost.
Hoffmeyer?
Almost.
Lemons?
Almost.
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 Congratulations, Chair Olmos.
Thank you.
Then you can adjourn this
We'll
one,
adjourn this meeting till
whenever.
whenever. All right. I like those meetings.
Closed session now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to reconvene, being we
Yes,
recessed.
Mr. Mayor.
Today's meeting is now reconvened, a regular meeting of the Paramount City Council.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I can, for the record, discuss that the City Council held a valid closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, anticipated litigation. There were 2 cases that we discussed in closed session. On the first case, there actually was action taken on both matters. On the first matter, on a vote of 4-0, a unanimous vote, the city council voted to bring legal action against the Central Basin Municipal Water District by joining a coalition involving a number of cities and municipal water agencies against that particular agency. On the second item, the city council voted 4-0 to retain outside legal counsel to address the possibility of third-party dissemination of inaccurate information concerning water and air quality within the city of Paramount. That concludes my presentation.
Any further comments from council
No, sir.
members? Okay, then this meeting is now adjourned until August 20 at 5 p.m. And as I mentioned before, we are adjourning in the memory of Francis Meese.